Hello, beautiful learners. Hope you're doing great. I'm also good by the grace of Almighty. So it's our day 21 of IELTS listening practice test with answers and proper explanation for beginners, especially those who are in level A1 and A2. So in this lesson, we are going to just practice it for beginners. Okay. So before going to start our class, I just need to check whether you can hear me as well as the audio track. Okay, just give me a few sec.
You will hear a number of different recordings, and you will have to answer questions on what you hear. There will be time for you to read the instructions.
Okay, I'm quite confident that you can hear me as well as the audio track. Now let's listen the instruction from the lady as she was talking. Okay,
You will hear a number of different recordings, and you will have to answer questions on what you hear. There will be time for you to read the instructions and questions, and you will have a chance to check your work. All the recordings will be played once only. The test is in 4 sections. At the end of the real test, you will be given 10 minutes to transfer your answers to an answer sheet. Now turn to section 1.
so I hope you got the instruction from her as she was delivering that. Now we have a label map as you can see on the screen already. So let's read it. Okay, write the correct letter A to H next to question number 1 to 2. Okay, so here we can see cafe, cinema, West Street, and business center, library, East Street. Okay, and we also have this road is High Street, and we also have a lot of unknown places, just like A, H, B, G, D, E, F. Okay, so now we are going to listen it for. Okay, here we can see also there is an sample one for us to look at. So the B, so here it says B is Ronaldo's. Okay, so B is Reynolds. Okay, so now let's listen it for sample one first. Okay,
Section 1. You will hear a woman called Mrs. Reynolds being interviewed by a police officer about an incident she saw the previous evening. First,
so B is cinema, as you can see. Okay, as she was saying, let's listen it.
you have some time to look at questions 1 to 5.
It doesn't matter how trivial it seems.
So in question number 1, you can see it's elderly women. Okay, elderly women. Let me highlight it. Okay, let's listen it.
What may seem unimportant to you may not be unimportant to us.
OK, I'll do what I can, officer. Well, as I said, I'd just come out of the cinema on the High Street, so it was about 8 o'clock, just before 8 in fact. I'd been to see a film with a friend, and she'd just gone off home. So I was just standing there wondering what to do, whether to go and have a cup of coffee somewhere or not. I was just standing there, minding my own business, when I suddenly heard someone shouting directly opposite me outside the library. Not screaming, just shouting. It sounded like the voice of an elderly woman. "They've got my bag! They've got my bag!" she was shouting. Then these two men raced past.
Okay, so as we listen the talk, so as she was saying, um, it's turned not screaming, just shouting. It shouted like the voice of an elderly woman that they have got my bag, they've got my bag in my bag, in my bag. So she was shouting. Okay, so okay, so G would be the answer. Let me put it. Okay, as she was saying, I was I as she was saying, I was standing there, middle of my business, minding my own business, when I standing someone shouting directly opposite me in the library. Okay, so the library is G, as we heard it from her. Okay, so G will be the answer. Now let's listen it for question number 2. Types car. Okay, where is types car? Okay, let's listen it.
Me, going like the wind, straight down the street and round the corner into West Street. It all happened so quickly, I think they must have had a car waiting for them there, because
So she was saying, then these two men raced past me, going like the wind, straight down the street and round the corner into the West Street. So West Street. Okay, and she was saying also that it all happened so quickly. I think they must have had a car waiting for them there. So West Street, we can see it's in C. So C would be the answer. Let me put it. Okay, C. Okay, now let's listen it for question number 3. Okay, to the correct letter A, B, or C. Okay, so when Mr. Reynolds saw the types, she blah blah. Let's listen it.
I heard one drive off at top speed. Well, I didn't know what on earth to do, whether to try and chase them, whether to ring the police, or whether to go and see if she was all right. Another woman was running up behind me, so I shouted back at her to go and call the police. Anyway, when I got to the woman, she seemed to be all right, thank goodness. I bet.
So women when Miss Reynolds saw the types, she ran after them, telephoned the police, went to help the elderly lady. So I think option C would be the answer. Let me put it as she was saying. Another woman was running up behind me, so I shouted back at her to go and call the police. Anyway, I got to the women. That means she went to the women to help. So she will be the answer. Okay, we got it. Now let's listen in focus number 4. The elderly woman was badly hurt, unhurt, very upset. Let's listen it.
Shaken, but okay. I think I was much more upset than she was.
Okay, so the lady was she was saying a bit shaken, but okay, I think I was much more upset than she was. That means the lady was unhurt. So unhurt would be the answer, as she is not badly hurt or very upset. So B is quite relevant to her talk. Okay, now let's listen in focus number 5. Which woman had once had her bag stolen in the first? Okay, Let's listen it.
All in all, she was pretty calm. I don't think I would have been, but apparently it had happened to her once before, so maybe that's why. You know, I've got a friend who refuses to go out alone anywhere after 6 o'clock now. What's this town coming to?
Before you hear the rest of the conversation, you have some time to look at questions 6 to 10.
Okay, so she was saying all in all, she was pretty calm. I don't think I would have been, but apparently it had happened to her once before. Oh, so maybe that's why she that's why I've got a friend who refused to go out alone anywhere after the 6 o'clock. Okay, so that means the elderly woman would be the answer. Okay, as she was saying, it happens to her once in the first. Okay, so A would be the answer. Now let's listen it for question number 6 to 10. Okay, so here we can see two letter A to F. Okay, now we're going to choose two letter for 6. Okay, number 6, let's listen it.
Now listen.
Okay, the bag contained what? Let's listen it. Let's
Listen and answer questions 6 to 10.
Well, anyway, she just kept saying, I didn't see a thing. I didn't see a thing. One of them had just pushed her from behind, and as she put out a hand to steady herself, the other one had just taken the bag from under her arm, and then he raced off across the road. I asked her what she'd had in it, and she said she'd had her purse with about £15 in it.
So she's saying she had her purse with about $15. Okay, $15 would be the answer. A purse. So a purse would be the answer because here is nothing about $15. So we can say a purse is here. So a purse would be the answer. Now let's listen for the remaining one.
But no checkbook or cards or things like that. And luckily, she had her front door key in her pocket. Oh, and she'd had her bus pass taken too.
Let's get back to the two.
Okay, so she was saying, oh, and she had her bus pass taken too. That means a bus pass. So option E would be the answer. Okay. Now let's listen in for question number 7 to 10. Before that, we have another instruction to follow. Let's read it. No more than 2 words and a number for each answer. Okay, just keep it in your mind. So here we have 5 column, and 4 of them are mentioned like with age, build, hair color, distinguishing mark. Okay, now let's listen it for question number 7. Younger man. Let's listen it for younger man. Build. Okay, let's listen it.
One.
Well, let's start with the younger one, shall we?
Well, age first then. He only looked about 17, not more, something like that. Neither very tall nor small. Sort of slim build. Not anybody.
Okay, sort of slim build. So slim would be the answer. Let me put it. Slim build. Okay, now let's listen it for question number 8. Hair color. Okay, let's listen for hair color.
You'd notice. Nothing particularly special about him. An ordinary-looking sort of bloke. He had curly black hair, which was quite long, but apart...
Okay, so she was saying he had curly black hair. So black would be the answer. See, okay, black. Okay, now let's listen it for question number 9. For older men. Okay, age. Now we are going to listen it for age of older men. Let's listen it.
Apart from that, as I say, not someone you'd notice in a crowd. Nothing really distinct about him at all. But the other one, the older one, he was different.
Different?
Yes, different. I feel as if I'd know him anywhere again. I got more of a look at him because he ran across the road more slowly than the younger man. I remember being surprised because he was quite a bit older than the other one. I'd say about 35. Funny, because you don't...
So 35 would be the answer as she was saying. So let me put 35. Okay. Now let's listen it for question number 10 and the last one about distinguishing mark blah blah on chin. Let's listen it.
think of people of that age snatching handbags in broad daylight like that, do you? He was quite a bit smaller than the other man and medium build.
What did he look like? You didn't give the officer much information last night.
Well, I did get quite a good look at his face. No beard or moustache, clean shaven, and quite smart looking, really. He had light brown hair cut very short, a sort of army haircut. And there was another thing. Thinking about it all last night, over and over again, I'm almost sure he had a small scar on his chin.
So she's saying he had a small scar on his chin. Okay, so scar would be the answer. Okay, so that's all about today's lesson. I hope you enjoyed this lesson, and I'll suggest you to watch this lesson repeatedly. Okay, then you will be able to understand the upper level. Okay, so that's all about today's lesson, and see you in the next class with another new IELTS listening practice test. Till then, bye.